Hi everyone, it's Sonia here. So there had been a lot of talk about this movie Cuties, which was coming out on Netflix. Basically, people didn't really have a lot of information on the movie at that time. We had seen some previews and a poster, and the poster really was outrageous. I mean, it was portraying these girls, these little girls that were 11 years old, in a way that really they were dressed like strippers and they were in very provocative positions. And so a lot of people were saying, well, this movie is promoting pedophilia, basically, and it should be banned from Netflix. So I thought, well, okay, it doesn't look good, but let's see, because there were these articles that were saying, this movie had won awards, and it was really against the sexualization of young girls. So it's supposed to be against it, I guess, talking about how this happens and something. I hadn't seen it, right? So okay, well, I'm gonna just watch it and then I'll see. And I watched it, and I can tell you that it really is inappropriate. It's totally sexualizing these girls, and not just even for a purpose. I mean, if you can sort of portray somewhat what young girls go through in the age of Instagram and social media, and how young girls respond to that, and how it affects how they see themselves and how they see what their role is supposed to be and what they're supposed to be doing. Basically, how social media influences girls. If you had to make a movie about that, you could do it without going nearly as far as this went. I mean, really, there were scenes that the sexualization was totally gratuitous. So I'm here to tell you, I watched it and it's horrible. Before I start, I just want to remind you that as we're going into the fall, we're facing the possibilities of more lockdowns, more people ending up surprised in quarantine, and also food shortages coming. So it is good to be prepared. You don't want to get caught unprepared. And if you're looking to get some supplies, you can go to My Patriot Supply and get everything that you need in one convenient package. And you do get a discount of $100 if you order through the link below. That's preparewithtruthergirls.com. So click the link for more info if you're interested. So I mean, at this point, I really am like, wow, what is this thing you've been doing up on Netflix? It's outrageous, because literally some of the stuff that was in that movie, if you had it, just that scene, if you had it on a file on your computer, probably you could go to jail for it. So how is that not okay when you have it on your computer? And it's not. But it's okay to have it in a movie, and for that movie to be on Netflix. So I went to art school, and I studied fine arts, I studied film. And so I know that in art, sometimes the goal is really to push the boundaries. So that's why when I decided I will watch it, and I want to see, like, what is the story merit or the artistic merit, or like, what is this movie all about? I know that sometimes the boundaries will be pushed a bit. I know that there have been lots of movies in the past where they did show underage girls in a sexual or sexualized situation. I mean, I'll give you a couple examples. If you've ever seen the movie Christiane F., this is a young girl who's 14 years old who at one point engages in an act of prostitution. Also the movie Precious. She gets molested by her father. She gets raped by him, actually. Oh, and remember back in the 80s, all these like outrageous camp movies and teen movies. And these are all people who are underage, and it's pretty sexualized. But this movie, it wasn't just portraying those girls' experience like in any kind of legitimate way. There were scenes that were literally created just for the viewer to look at these girls sexually. That was the problem. There was one scene where they're dancing on the stairs and they're twerking. Now, twerking is a very sexy kind of dance, but it was way beyond that. They weren't just twerking, but they were wearing like really revealing, very, very inappropriate outfits with makeup on. And they were also making a lot of very sort of seductive faces, putting their fingers in their mouths, having bedroom eyes. Like, it really looked so porn that when I saw the scene on the stairs, I was like, okay, that's it. This right here, there's no context. They're not in the dance competition. They're not practicing their dance. There's really no reason for this scene other than to just give the viewer a scene of these girls being as sexual as possible. That's what I mean by gratuitous. Plus, the movie, okay, there's this girl, Amy, who is, her parents are from Senegal, and they're like religious, they're Muslims, they're very traditional, as in her father is actually taking a second wife. And through what happens was she and her friends, the girls that she makes friends with, who are dancers at school, and they're called the Cuties, and they end up watching a video. They watch a couple videos on social media with the phone that Amy has stolen, and this is like a very, very explicit, very, very sexual video of women dancing. Like, you see this stuff, like the video that Cardi B put out, WAP, okay, and that's on YouTube. I mean, there's some very sexualized stuff out there. And this was even more than that. Like, it was really like stripper dancing, you know? Porno dancing. So the girls watch this and they decide to imitate it. You know, so then there's stuff like they're touching each other's butts during the dance. So it goes way beyond just like shaking their shoulders or moving their hips. There's like touching involved. There's like face down near the butt while she's touching. I mean, really, you know, it was so over the top. This movie could have been done in a different way and still given the same message. It was so extreme. And also, what bothered me was that I didn't think it was realistic. I really didn't think that any girl could go from being that much of like a good girl and a straight girl to behaving in such an extreme way, even in the context of how upset she is about her father taking a second wife. It didn't make sense to me that they would dance like and act like that to that extreme. I thought that again, gratuitous. So they watch this, but then Emmy has like this change in her personality too. And at one point, I think it's her uncle, the one she stole the phone from. And this was another thing that I was just like, gag me. It was so bad. So shocking. Her uncle wants the phone back. And first she tries to seduce him. She takes off her shirt. She has some like little belly top underneath, a little tank top, crop top. She takes it off. And he's like, what are you doing? But why would she do that? She's like 11 years old. I have a 13-year-old son. I know people have 11-year-old daughters. I can't possibly see how, I mean, this is really a child, like still quite a small child, how this small child would not only just watch that video, but then even make the connection about seducing men with your body. I think at that age, they're so innocent. So it doesn't make sense that she would do this. Oh, that reminds me of another movie that dealt with this, which was Lolita, which I don't know, is it banned? But even Lolita didn't go this far. A lot more implied, but it wasn't this explicit. She starts taking off her shirt, like to seduce him to get the phone back. I thought that doesn't make any sense, you know? This is really awful. She takes the phone, runs into the bathroom, and takes a picture of her private parts and posts it online. So I don't think that that's realistic at all. Like, no one would do that. No girl would do that. I don't believe it. I feel like that is like an insult to women and an insult to girls to say that, you know, just because she's upset about things and she's in a dance troupe and she's twerking, that now she's going to do something like that. That's so extreme. Not even an adult woman would do that. Nobody would do that. Why would she do that? It was just horrifying. Of course, they don't actually show what she posted, but they show like enough so that you know what she's doing. And I thought, this is really, really pedo. There are going to be men out there who are like getting off on this. That's disgusting. So there's the dancing. There's this gratuitous like display on the stairs. There's the dancing with like touching each other's butts. There's the photo. There's her trying to seduce her uncle or whatever he is. And I mean, the more I watched this movie, the more like my mind was really blown about how disgusted it was. So I'm here to tell you, I watched it and it's horrible. It's over the top. And it seemed to me like the plot was like that stuff was so dominating in the movie that it was like the plot became an excuse to show that stuff. And I'm trying to be open-minded here, right? Remember? I mean, I have this background in art and film and all that. And I went into it trying to just like give it a chance, you know? Maybe it's a lot of hype, right? Because I'd read these articles where they're saying, well, it's because of the plot. But I really felt like the plot was used as an excuse to show this stuff. It was like, you know how these days on YouTube and on social media, they try to go always one step further, more extreme, to grab your attention, to shock you, to push the limits, to get views, basically. So I felt like this movie was exploiting these girls, really sexualizing them in a way that even the plot couldn't explain, basically to get views. So I really don't understand why this movie is being shown on Netflix, and I totally agree with all this talk about banning it. And I am a pretty open-minded person in general when it comes to movies and self-expression. And, you know, like I said, a movie like Christiane F., it touches on the subject of her addiction and how she ends up prostituting herself, but it's not for the purpose of getting pedophiles excited. I mean, I'm just flabbergasted that with all this talk these days, especially about awareness, about child abuse, this movie is on Netflix and something like 650 girls auditioned for it. What kind of mother would bring her kid to audition for this? I don't know. I guess a stage mother. But seriously, why would you take your daughter to audition for something like this? What is that going to actually just do to the girl who's in the movie, who's being asked to behave like this at this age, and it's so developmentally inappropriate? Those girls who were sent to audition, like, they had to learn to dance like that. They had to learn to act like that. That's like damaging to them. These are very important years, and there's a reason why we don't let kids do certain things or show them certain stuff, because it's developmentally inappropriate. Their mind is not able to process it, and it can damage them permanently. So yeah, that's what I think of this movie. I mean, it's like it probably left quite a trail of destruction for all those girls that auditioned. Who knows what they went through, and how many pedophiles are watching this movie and like replaying those scenes and really enjoying themselves. And it's just, I feel like the girls who were in that movie were totally exploited. That whoever came up with this story and this plot, like I said, there's more emphasis on that sexualization than there is even on the plot. It could have been done with a lot more finesse, a lot more subtlety. There's no excuse for how they did it. So I don't know if they're going to ban it, but they should remove it, because it's disgusting and inappropriate. So I just want to let you know that I did watch it, and that's what I found. As bad as anyone could have said, and much worse. So let me know what you think. Let me know if you know a way that this thing can get taken off the air, you know, also. I mean, really. And that's it, you know. Thanks for joining me here. Thanks for joining me in the chat. Thank you for your support on Patreon. And God bless you guys. Thanks for listening to me, and I'll see you next time.